So I see you got on the agenda.
Yeah.
You did.
Maybe
on
once that
seven
night
items.
gets-
I know.
What night is that? We're like packing it all in.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought it was coming 23, right?
Yeah, yep, Thursday.
Yeah, and I was supposed to be the ninth, I had to push it back because there was so much going on.
Well, then they, so that's on Thursday, took a little bit of time, because you haven't heard from them in a while, so. Okay, we're gonna call the meeting to order. This is an unusual, board meeting because the date is different from our usual, Thursday afternoons. But due to, an inability to get a quorum, we're going to hold it today. Do you want to take John's thing out of the way? Is it blocking anything?
He's
No,
not on.
I just didn't get
That's what I mean.
usually get a email that lets me know it's live streaming,
Oh, okay.
and I didn't get one, so I might have told David to put X out of there too soon. It says it's live streaming. Let's just do
It
it.
says it. but then-
It says. Sorry. Sorry.
You all ready? Yeah. Okay. Call the meeting to order. We have a quorum. And the first thing to do is review the minutes from February minutes, yeah, because we haven't had a meeting since then. If everyone has had a chance to, read the minutes and have any questions, comments. Did we get a chance, I see here on number 4, did we look at the video to see if the financial reports were approved?
Oh, yeah, we did go, we went back and looked and they were not.
They were not, so that was for the month of February,
I guess it would be January minutes.
so,
I mean, January, financial
Financials.
report.
okay. So, yeah.
My last name is Walker Dash Duncan.
Oh.
I see,
Oh.
I see, present and then absent too, so it's D Walker and then D Duncan. I was present.
Twice.
Yeah, so,
Thank you.
yeah. No problem.
This may sound like a really weird question, who's ex-sergeant?
Oh, that shouldn't be on there anymore.
That's Sabrina Sargent.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, and I said, oh, that's Sabrina.
Maybe.
It must
We'll
be,
look at it.
that just came up from a former, an old meeting.
Make it.
And was, Dion, were you present or absent?
I was present.
You were present,
Yeah,
so we take you off the absence.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, so do I have a motion to approve these minutes? These amended minutes? Thank you, Ramon. Second,
Second.
all in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Forget this. Minutes approved as amended. Okay, now financial reports.
So yeah, we reviewed the January, financials at the February meeting, but I don't think it just didn't get voted on.
Oh, okay.
And we have February and March here.
Mhm.
Um.
You wanna give us some
Um,
highlights?
Some of the highlights. This, the balance in the bank account is higher than what it says here for March 31st, because we just did get, it was 170,000 from our, land bank initiative grant. So the current is a little bit higher, but you know, that money's going out anyway to pay bills. So just, you know, the typical, what, is left to receive and spend, we have 50,000 left in our land bank, phase 1 grant, which is our operating funding. We have, as of this date, 518,000, almost 519 left to spend, in the phase 2 capital grant. Then it just goes to the inventory and kind of what we've spent or what the value is of the properties that we currently have, which totals 1.7 million. And you know, our assets and liabilities balance. It also shows under liabilities left to spend for our land bank initiative phase 2, not to be confused with phase 2 capital, because it's 2 different project grants. So there's 343,000 left to spend in that grant. We did calculate today, we have about close to 650,000 between those 2 project grants to spend. You know, as of today. So then we can go to the profit and loss. If we look at, this is year to date, July through March, or we can look at the monthly on the last page, which is really tiny and hard to see.
I know, could have get in the timer.
It's because it's the end, towards the end of the year, so there's a lot of months to squeeze in.
Well done, whoever fit it on this page and formatted it.
What are the highlights? We just allocated 25,000 from our Dyson grant. That was the first half of a 2-year grant. We'll get another 25,000 in July. And we did get an infusion of 50,000 from the land bank phase 1, kind of apply for that on a quarterly basis. So it's about 50,000 a quarter. And other money that was spent from the other LBI grants. What else? We just have the typical operating costs that amount to 34,000 in March, 31,000 in February. So that's kind of typical. Net income 46,000 for the month of March. Total net income for the year 850,000.
Okay.
If there's any questions.
Anybody have questions? Sure. Have you noticed that your utility costs have spiked?
I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
No,
Where do you see that? Because some of it is project related and some is
Right,
operating, like
Operating.
for here.
Just curious.
I think I might know what that's attributed to when we had the legacy cities, when we were doing the
Yeah.
rehab of the 2 and 3 family homes.
Yeah.
We paid the utility bills
Oh,
throughout the duration of those projects until they were sold.
okay.
So I think that's probably why there's a big variance there between July 25th, March 26th, and July 24th, March 25th, previous year. The houses are well insulated.
Well, it's also during construction.
Yeah, and it's also, you know, Central Hudson is going crazy.
Yeah.
Our rates of states on the, you know, here they're pretty
Pretty
they're
stable.
going up, but not like.
Another thing that happened incidentally is, I think this will come on the April bill, we had our water heater exploded. A few weeks ago. And so we had to get that replaced, and we just bought it directly from the supply store, and then the plumber that works on our projects did it for us at a very reasonable rate.
Good, good. Any damage?
Just some water damage in the closet, but pretty minimal.
No.
It was like, we were like, what's that noise? It was like click, 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 and then I like couldn't find it. I opened up the closet and it was just like a waterfall in there, but we were able to
Well, it's a
turn
good
off
thing
the
you were
water. What?
here. It's a good thing you were here.
Yeah. Yeah, that would not have been fun to come into the
No,
next day.
And that's one of those things, unless you've been around and, oh, think I see a little leak, and you don't deal with it that day. It
Yeah.
happened to me, so there's a little leak, brought him in, it burst as he's replacing it, you know?
So that was our first kind of major capital repair to the building in quite a while. So
That's not bad. That's good.
yeah.
Alrighty, I need a motion to approve the January, February, and March financial reports. So moved. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Dion. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. No opposition. Okay. Okay, let's look at the proposed budget.
That's what there with the yellow stripe down there. This is the year, so, and the yellow obviously is the year that we have to adopt now. And they do ask you to go out a few years, but it's a little kind of hard to go that far, but, mostly looking at 2027. And, one thing is a little challenging because our budget is due at the end of April to the state. We have to upload it to the state comptroller website. But the state budget hasn't passed yet, and so like a huge, and this wasn't always the case, like in the past, the land bank wasn't so tied to like money that comes from the state budget. But now we are, and so it's like, we're in the process of seeing if the land bank initiative funding is gonna be appropriated in this year's budget. And I think in the one house budget, there was $50 million that we had asked for, but it's unclear where that stands right now. But I just had to kind of assume that we would be getting more funding. So I put in, and also for property sales, I put 200,000. We don't actually have anything that planned that will sell by the July of, by the end of June of next year, but we could put, if need be, we could sell something.
Okay.
And it's kind of a placeholder for other funding that might come through.
Last year you did pretty well.
Yes, so last year, it says 3.3 million, but it's because we sold the two buildings, the home ownership buildings. And it's counted as like 900,000 per building. Actually, we sold 4.
Was Washington part of that? Or
And the 60,000 from, it was only 60,000 for 143 Washington, but the other homes that we sold, even though we sold them for a lot less, they're kind of officially sold for the subsidy, like including all the grants that went into it. So it just seems like we took in all this money, but that money was spent on rehabbing the buildings. But it's still counted in that way. And so we're kind of like I was saying to Eric, we're like in a trough year right now because we're also doing, we're gearing up to do more rehabs, but we're not at a point where we're going to be selling things. And we're also waiting for state funding to come through. So I put under state subsidies and grants, 1.7 million, and that includes like money that we currently have to spend down and anticipated getting another round of LBI funding and not spending all of it maybe in that next year, but some of it. And then also we're applying for funding for Legacy City, which we anticipate spending some of during the next fiscal year. So this is kind of my best guess.
Will some of this year's LBI stuff roll, or is it?
Yes, because
you'll use it?
it's through next December, I believe we have, and
I'm sure that's burning, but yeah, not that quickly,
what?
through $300,000 and.
Yeah, like by the time our July 1st, we'll have spent even more of what we have, but there'll be some that'll cross over into next year. Yeah, and I think, pretty hopeful that we'll get more funding. So that was that, proceeds from the issuance of debt. Oh, no, that's a separate, other non-operating revenue. Oh, I'm sorry, the 75,000 is, grant money, like the Dyson money, and then other grants, mostly what we've gotten is that, and then some bank, like smaller, like 10,000, 5,000 from different,
What's the total for Dyson grants?
50,000, but that was for 2 years.
And you're sure you're gonna get that again?
Well, we'll definitely get the 25,000, which is the second half.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to apply again for 28. And then, yeah, just like kind of smaller grants. And donations. So then total revenue and financing sources 1.9 million or 1,975. And then for expenses, we have salaries and wages. I increased a little bit to allow for increases or additional staff hours. Increased benefits, or the benefits I checked out. This is kind of 16,000 kind of works.
That's health, right?
Yes, and we have a simple IRA
Okay.
for salaried staff. Professional services is legal and accounting. I made it a little lower this year because some of the legal costs kind of get rolled into other project budgets. Supplies and materials, 22,000, that's kind of been typical over several years. And then everything else is in one other line. This is just the form that the state uses. So I put 1.5 million, that includes all of our rehab costs and anything else that's not already listed. So insurance and rehab are kind of the biggest items in that. Depreciation of the building, 11,000, and then total expenditures, 1.9 million. With an excess of 63,500. Okay. Questions, concerns?
Well, go ahead. Oh, sorry. Do you have any concerns?
No, it's just what I said, like, it's a little bit of a guesstimate, but it kind of always is, and it's also like in terms of expenditures, like, you don't really know exactly how much is gonna be spent in that fiscal year, like, it depends on how rehab goes or when the money, when you actually close on the funding and things of that nature. I don't know when the next funding round will start for a land bank initiative. So it's just hard to know what will actually fall in this particular year and exactly how much we're gonna be getting. So, but it's just like my best guess at this point.
So is Lander Street predicated on news from the budget? Like, would it potentially start next year?
The Lander Candle, so the issue with that one, which I was gonna talk about when we talk about that project, but one of the sources of funding, from the state, which is the small building PLP program, which a lot of projects use in the city, is they're kind of oversubscribed, and so they're not gonna have new funding available till next fiscal year. So I did speak to Madeline Fletcher about that. She said like 16 months. But it's actually not that unrealistic for what our timeline, because we're doing the stabilization now and we can do more of that than what we're doing. We can get additional funding to do more of that work, but we're still going through the cycle. We're about to start site plan review, like in June, hopefully. We still, have to finish the design of the buildings, and we also are applying for historic tax credit. So like all of it's kind of realistic to say a year plus. And I did speak to Burke, who oversees that program, and today, and he was like, yeah, no, that's totally really, like that. They anticipate getting more money. This program has been very successful, so I think the allocation will be generous. So so to answer your question, we will be spending some money on that, but not the bulk of it. For another year plus.
Do we need to, adopt this, or do we?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
So I can upload it.
Well, it's due at the end of the month,
Yeah.
right? That's a
Mhm.
good point.
Yeah.
All righty, I'll accept a motion to approve the proposed budget. So move. Second. Thank you, Carson. All in favor, aye, and hands? Aye. Approved. Okay, annual presentation of the city council Thursday night.
So yes, I'll be making the annual presentation the city council required to do every year. So tune in.
Not nervous, are you?
No. No, I mean, I'm looking forward because I know there's a new council member, so it'll be good to kind of bring them up to speed.
Yeah,
and,
they're
you know,
very curious, actually.
Yeah, oh, that's good.
Oh, good.
I only get like 10 minutes, so it's like speed, like.
And yeah, it always goes over.
Yeah, that too, yes. So, yeah, no, that'll be good. Yeah, so I think we're like second on the agenda for Thursday.
What time does it start, 6 or 7? 6. Okay. For that, too.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, legacy cities.
What was I gonna say about that? So we're just continuing to work on the plans, for like 128 to, no, I'm sorry, 11 South Miller and 238 First. We just got a more detailed progress sets from the architect. And we're also, working on the application to the ZBA for 3 of the 4 properties, and, Eric and David have diligently been working on parking studies. Which is no fun.
So,
Parking is a hot topic these days.
Yeah,
That's something, yeah, we could talk about offline, because there's.
Yeah. so the
Is that
park,
the only, variance you're gonna need is parking, do you know?
and like some minimal
The
setbacks.
setbacks,
Yeah.
okay.
Also, we'll need like for one of the buildings, it's allowable in the district, but one's going from 1 to a 2 family. And I think the other buildings, 128 Du Bois was a 2 that's going to. But I don't know if that's the only, this is just a single.
No, it's, it would be.
So we're like, yeah, so we proposed a 3-family there, so whatever the previous, I don't know that there was a CLO for a couple of those buildings, but we're increasing the number of units
Okay,
at 3 properties.
So, and we do have updated, numbers from Carlos for the construction work, and he did bring it down considerably. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last meeting.
I don't think so.
Yeah, because it was pretty recently. And it's still gonna be, an expensive project, but I think the construction, the total for 4 came out to like 3.5 million. Which in terms of square footage is still under 300 a square foot, which is, in keeping with prices.
They're difficult buildings.
Yeah, I mean, I keep on saying like 128 Du Bois has 52 windows, and they all have to be historic windows, and there's porches and all the things. 11 South Miller was burnt to a crisp. 140 Chambers, also large building that's very detailed. And we've already done some work on 3 of these buildings,
Right.
but it still is expensive.
What about the other South Miller?
Oh, 44, right, we're not talking about.
Is that the one that was stabilized?
Well, we
Was it
didn't do
Sort
anything.
of stabilized.
We just put scaffolding in, and then it, you know, when we got the bids back for the work, it was just astronomical. And now we don't really have the money in our current funding cycle to even do anything. So we've kind of pivoted to working on the ones that we could work on and waiting for the roof to collapse. So,
I know, I'm afraid of that,
On 44.
or a wall that collapsed.
right. It's, yeah, so I mean, we're looking at, we have to really decide if we need to demo this building or not, and either way, it's gonna be a lot of money that we don't have at the moment.
We had this conversation not too long ago. At this point, why not demo?
The demo costs are enormous also, because it's all
Because
hot,
of the. Because.
Yeah, so
it's all hot.
asbestos,
Yeah,
yeah.
asbestos, lead, everything.
So, I mean, we don't have the money right now to do either, so we kind of are holding off until the next round of funding we can get.
Could, just from a liability perspective, could it be stabilized? Like, could steel be put into it?
That was our original proposal, but the whole thing with having to deal with, it's like this whole chicken and egg thing with dealing with asbestos. That's why if the roof goes all the way in, then it's less complicated, because then you just bring everything out.
Right.
Rather than having to take stuff off the roof that's not stable.
So you're kind of hoping the roof does come down.
It has to come in the right way.
Right, no, I mean, it's not
That's
like the
everything.
way
Okay,
you want things
full
to happen,
disclosure.
it's just the way that we have to address asbestos makes it. And the conditions is very dangerous.
Right.
Very, very dangerous.
But you said you got scaffolding in?
It's wrapped in scaffolding
Wrapped in
on the
scaffolding.
outside, so that if things do collapse, it's kind of, it's a pretty serious scaffolding system that's up there that we spent a lot of money on. And we're paying monthly for.
The sidewalk shed protects pedestrians because that building is basically on this, like,
Right on the sidewalk.
Right, it's right on the
Yeah.
sidewalk and it's attached.
Yeah,
I guess the other issue was the next door lot, but really it's not feasible without having that lot as part of it, right?
right, they didn't wanna sell us that lot,
Right.
but they might at some
They
point.
might, yeah.
Mhm. I don't know what's going on with that, but, yeah, so at the moment, we're just dealing with these four. And wait and see on that other one. I mean, that's gonna be the repair, I mean, if these are, $1 million. The cost of renovating, I mean, just the cost of stabilizing it is like $1 million.
Oh.
You
What's
know,
the plan if the roof doesn't fall in, like you just hold it until?
well, we may just have to demo the whole thing and just
Okay.
pay for that.
But it's
Waiting still.
they have enough money to do
Right.
anything.
Right.
You had to bring up 44, didn't you?
Well, I've been thinking about it,
I
I was
know.
across the street from it last week and thinking, ooh,
we think about it.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those headaches.
Yeah, that's a problem with it.
Okay. Now we're up to.
Oh, yeah, so I didn't update you about the budget. Oh, so then, I ran the numbers and CPC, the lender, ran the numbers. And so with the legacy city funding, it's 150,000 a unit, so that comes out to 1.65 million. And then we would have like a $2 million construction budget, and then we're still like 1.6 million needing a, gap. So I was proposing that we get, if Land Bank Initiative funding is available, use that funding to fill that gap. And I spoke to Burke about that today, and he said he didn't think that would be a problem. He doesn't oversee Land Bank Initiative, but we have to kind of wait in the next couple of weeks for the budget to be, the state budget to be approved and see if there, what happens to the next round of funding. But that's kind of the idea. I'm also reaching out to the county to see if they have funding and looking at other avenues, but it is a significant gap, to have to fill. And the state, unfortunately, like, they have these programs and it's like, this is the amount per unit, and they will not budge from that. You know, so,
No
and
matter
there aren't
what.
that many options for gap financing. So that's the current state of things.
How about Lander Street?
So Lander Street, I mentioned, we're, for the structural stabilization, we've completed most of the work at 72 Lander. There's some work they still have to finish, like on the bay window that they were waiting on, the engineer's drawing to figure out how to do this cantilevered bay
Oh, yeah.
window.
Yeah.
So that'll be taken care of soon, and 78 Lander, they've done a lot of the work there. They still need to deal with the storefront, which is kind of the tricky, scary part, but they dealt with, you know, a lot of serious work there. It was really,
It's really impressive inside.
yeah, I mean, they've done a huge amount of joist replacement and tiebacks of the facade. There were 2 extensions on the back that were very iffy, and they put roofs on the main building, the 2 extensions, and they kind of attached them more securely to the building, dealt with some of the exterior wall issues, although there's a lot more to do on the exterior.
Carlos was worried the back of that building, it was added, and that it maybe was not on a stable foundation. His engineer looked at that.
I believe so, yeah.
That doesn't have to come down, that can.
No, I mean, they've already done a lot of work on that to,
Right.
you know, stable, it feels so much better now that they, you know, they changed out joists and they kind of attached it more securely to the rest of the main part of the building, and the roof
That's right.
has all kind of stiffened the whole thing up.
Yeah, they also added some steel lintels in some key places where they were needed, in the
Right.
basement, in an extension, in a rear extension roof. There, so the building is drying, they're drying out now, everything is roofed. Should be getting in more water in there, they got the, you know, see the gutters up too.
They put some temporary gutters to prevent additional,
Getting water away from the building. So.
yeah.
And what's the problem with the retail space?
It's just that they're like the storefront, it's like a cast iron kind of storefront situation, and there's a huge crack.
Someone did a previous repair to it really
Yeah.
badly. Cut through and there's probably water once upon a time, and it rotted out, it's huge carrying beam. And so one side of it is like totally, it's steel.
It's like
right?
hanging by a little
It's
inch.
it's cast iron on one side, and it's the remaining header is not actually sitting on the pier. It's like, it's on the pier.
It's
but
like
there's
kind of
not a
like
lot of
hanging
air.
by a little thread.
So it's-
But there is we put like a temporary steel column there, but.
Yeah, we have a base there, totally not.
Okay. Let's see what else.
Oh, and then 76, you know, is that we don't really have enough money to do everything that's needed there right now to stabilize it, but that's the next thing that we want to address. There's, you know, massive hole in the roof, and you know, the building's like blowing out and the bulging in the front, and it's a mess inside. It's never really been cleaned, so it's kind of hard to even see what's going on, but that's kind of the next thing that we need to work on. We also cleaned out 61 Campbell, which is the shell of an old carriage house. That was kind of interesting.
Are the walls staying there?
Well, we'll have to see, you know, we have to have an engineer look at it now that we cleaned it out, and you can actually see, you know, there was like up to here mattresses and.
They look pretty decent, just visually.
Yeah,
They're huge,
yeah, it was a big,
heck of a carriage house.
yeah. So we'll see, that's gonna be interesting.
We have any idea the square footage of that building?
Good question.
I don't have the survey, I'll show you. It takes up a big chunk of the property.
Yeah, I have. Plot plan there.
So this is the survey. So it's gonna be like this, that's what it is, so
Okay.
that's,
It's row house size.
28, looks like 28 by,
No,
20 plus,
24 is
30.
the small bounding on this.
okay, and 28 by 24, does that sound right?
oh yeah,
It's got that weird wall that angles, but it's big.
so that's where we're gonna put the 2-unit cottage.
Great.
Um, this is the-
Yeah, we went to we even talked something at the workshop, actually,
Okay.
we took this to the workshop, and the fire
this is
department.
the- I don't know if you wanna see
Great.
this.
With that, it's gonna have to be sprinkled. Is that, I guess, all 2 families?
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
starting that.
2 families and above?
Yeah.
Sprinkled. So, but that was good news that they were, you know, he's like, look, I don't see any issue with us getting our equipment.
In there.
So yeah, we went to this, what do you call it, workshop, and, you know, getting our ducks in a row to, submit, you know, full for site plan review in June. So that's where we're at, and, yeah, looking at historic tax credits.
Got it. Okay, where are we now? Structural stabilization?
Oh, that's what we just,
Yeah, that's what I figured.
number 3.
Okay, purchaser updates.
So 34 Lander, they got a, you know, they're very delayed, because they purchased in October 2022. Not much happened, they had a fire this summer, they got an emergency roof permit, but then didn't do anything, they finally got a full permit to renovate the building in November, but nothing is happening. So I spoke to an attorney to start a reverter action. Then they didn't get to it yet, but in the meantime, it looks like he did put a roof on the building and did some site work, but then nothing else. I don't see it.
Uppercut in the last couple of days put their sign on the front of
I
it,
saw that, yeah,
which makes me wonder, like,
the plumbing,
Yeah, the plumbers.
which makes you think what, that they're doing
I
something?
mean, yeah,
Why would you
Yeah.
put your sign up?
So I don't know, like I kind of initiated this process with the attorney and we're going back and forth about should we actually do this or not, but I feel like he didn't respond to anything that I've sent him recently. And so I feel like there needs to be a little bit of like feet to the fire.
it hasn't come through the other boards, has it? We haven't seen it.
No.
So I don't understand again, why did he get a permit without going through ARC?
Right.
For the roof?
The roof you can get.
No, we
the
got a
emergency
full
permit.
scale, we got a full permit.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense, but also to do what he wants to do there, I mean, it didn't have a CO,
Mm-hmm.
you'd have to go to planning.
Yeah. I'm thinking unless, is it staying in one family?
No, it hasn't been a one family, I think it was
Oh.
always more, but
It has that
definitely was like
bizarre
Very
single block
weird layout.
addition at the back. Like it's gotta be totally rethought the way it's set up.
three. Yeah, that's always been the challenge of that building.
Okay, I'll ask.
I mean, it's wild, cause it's built basically lot line to lot line, but it's there. So,
Is there more water? Sorry.
There's just, can you get her glass? I don't think there were any bottles left. There's yeah, so I don't know, I mean, nothing has been filed yet, but we're starting that action. And I think that's important, this whole issue of like getting permits and starting work and you haven't gone through any of the land use boards.
I just don't, the code should be going around them. Or the building part, the building inspector.
Yeah. So I don't really understand quite, maybe the permit wasn't for everything, but that's what it looked like to me, what I was sent a copy of it.
they could have gotten a demo permit.
It did not say demo,
Hmm.
it was definitely more than that.
I know that they give out demo and general construction permits sometimes for demo work and for roof work.
The problem is then people take
It's
those and just
misconstrued.
run with it, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so maybe it was something like that.
Yeah, because we've got rough framing permits.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, this is slippery slope. I guess.
Well, I can ask kind of,
And 38 Lander, you know, they've done a lot of work, but they keep installing, and the last communication I had with him, because that was on the same timeline, like they should have been done 3 years ago. And he had lost his investors and was trying to work something out with CPC helping him, but you know, that was like in October, the last communication I had. I did send him an email recently saying we're gonna have to start legal action if you don't. But I haven't, he didn't respond to that. Also, another thing is, like, it's like vinyl windows or, you know, like nothing that, and he supposedly did have ARC approval.
Yeah, he put the full set through.
Yeah, so, you know, now it's like the windows are broken and, you know,
sure, you leave it there.
and the siding doesn't look like anything that would be approved. So that's happening there. 146 South is again another where they got some kind of permit to do a significant amount of work, but
They're not doing anything now.
No.
It's in the window, but
they did the same thing where they put these hideous windows and door and they cut up everything. Anyway, so that's, you know, we have a reverter action. Our attorney submitted a motion for summary judgment. It was denied.
Shit.
So, because then they put in some technicality, like out of nowhere, that had never been mentioned. The other side said something that the writer of the or the contract of sales had a rider that they put in that said like they could ask for an extension or something, but they never did. And so now the judge is like giving them that. And so the next step is that our attorney, they're gonna have like some kind of chambers.
can the building be secured?
Meeting.
That's still my big fear, is like it's a row house and that basement being open, it's like. Could a
Yeah.
judge grant that? I know. the
Yeah, it's
attorney
just so,
said-
and nothing, it takes months for them to respond to anything, so like, as an emergency.
Yeah,
Is that a basement entrance you can see on the street front or on the rear of the?
Street front.
Well, the door is wide open and then the back door is completely
No back to the
removed.
building,
There's
yeah.
nothing there.
Yeah, I mean, besides everything else, it's probably getting into the building, it's just like, yeah. Matter of time until. something-
Yeah, so then, and also, of course, they claim that they spent all this $150,000 and. So. Our attorney is trying to like have set up a meeting in the judge's chambers, which would be with the attorneys, but also to have the other side appear, because it's really the father. That has been doing it, you know, the son bought the building, but it doesn't really know what he's doing, the father is trying to fix things for him. But it's really the son who has to show up. So we could kind of force that, and then also in discovery, they're gonna have to show. Everything that they
What they've
spent,
done.
yeah,
let me see the
invoices.
receipts.
Yeah,
Or the permits for.
right,
That,
Well, they're trying to do a four-family, because they came here with the documents to plead their case before the hearing, before the court date. This was a few months ago, Jen wasn't here that day, and they showed me that they were going for a four-family, and they also had a sprinkler, estimate, which was significant cost, of course, but I said, no, that's, you know, those things cost a lot. It was a four-family building.
I don't think they're gonna get four-family approval there,
Oh,
none of those buildings are four families.
So just a, you know.
and they cut through all of the beams in the basement from what I saw.
Jesus.
Any word on the city property next door?
So we put in our bid, doesn't seem, you know, like at the last meeting, the board approved like a certain maximum amount, but it doesn't seem like there's like a. Negotiation process, it's just like, this is what your number is compared to what everybody else's is. So I reached out to Nick Edwards, who's, you know, oversees some of that, and he said that they're just still reviewing all the applications, because I think it was April 3rd was the deadline.
Oh, that's right, it was a long,
Mhm.
they had a long time to do it.
So, waiting to hear on that,
Is that 144?
yes.
It's a big building and
Yeah.
yeah, with the garages and
Yeah.
everything. So then 104 Washington, I just, reached out to them to see what's going on, because nothing's going on. And they're basically like, they had like a water table issue. And the same thing happened at 143, so I think there is an issue on that street in
And
Washington.
it's quite, I mean, it happens all over the city.
Yeah, so they, their whole plan was like to put like commercial space in the basement, and so now they're not gonna have a basement.
Right, that's why this was.
So they're redesigning, oh, right, yeah. the
Did
email's here.
did y'all get this Gmail? Yeah.
So they now are redesigning, and they're back in the line now for that fund, one of their main funding sources was the small building PLP program, so now they have to wait also till 2027 to get that funding.
How many years has this been going on?
I mean, we approved them in 2020
and the demo was 22.
or early 21, I can't remember.
I think 22 sounds right.
So it's almost like 143, right? It just.
Right, but so 143, they actually like.
They've done something, they're doing something.
And they also have had water issues and have had to reduce their, not that extremely, but they didn't have like a significant basement plan there. So, but yeah, they're moving ahead, they have the same contractor and everything, and everyone was a little delayed this winter with work, but yeah. I don't know what we can do at this point, we already sold them the property. I mean, we could always do a reverter, but I don't know.
We gotta think about these things, like how fast do we move? It's terrible to see that sitting there like that.
Lot.
I mean, at least in that case, they demoed the building and it's like they've removed the blight.
Well, they haven't maintained the lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like the fence fell
It
over.
really looks bad.
You need
I
to
don't
clean
think
it up.
that's unreasonable to say, you got this for very little consideration.
It's an eyesore.
And if codes isn't gonna say anything, we should write up an email saying.
I'll report it, I'll go back and take a photo and just put it on ClickPix.
Nice. And he knows better. Alrighty. 90 Guinea Avenue.
Yeah, so we had our site visit to the neighboring buildings a while ago. I have not made any offer for those buildings. We don't really currently have.
It seems like they're selling things off market, so I've been worrying about this.
Well, I think, we have that middle building, so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
hard to sell to other people. But I didn't know what offer to make. We can go into executive session like we did last time with that.
That's not the one, excuse me, with the shared driveway, is it? Oh, no, now I know.
It's like the
Oh,
storefront we have.
yeah, that was, there's a story to there. Okay, yeah.
I move we go into executive session, talk about what pricing.
Okay. Any other business? I wanna check this date in May, people.
No, but we just moved to go to executive session.
Oh, before we close out, okay, that's fine. Okay, I can't remember if you gotta move it and for both closing and opening.